this is Ian. Welcome to another video. Today we're doing another another chapter. We'll see how long this takes. Another chapter inside of Hermitcraft season Clockwork. We are in episode 4, and we are getting close. Things are starting to spice up. Things are about to get interesting, and things are about to get dark. Yeah, like it's not too dark. It's just dark. Definitely not for people under the age of 13. So, unless you have a parent with you that's okay with it. Like that. Like, Clockwork Chronicles usually do get a little dark. But if you can handle it, by all means keep watching. Don't worry about it. Like, it just gets a little dark at certain points. Like, we're getting close to it, but we're not quite there yet. Anyway, let's get there. Chapter 16. If you haven't read the other chapters, be sure you do so, because, spoilers, of course. Yeah. All the hermits have been captured, or that's what we're made to believe, of course. But I'm not gonna spoil it. Chapter 16. Grian opened his eyes to find himself once again staring up at the ceiling above, back in the cell where he started not so long ago. Well, except for the fact that the room was a lot smaller and dimmer, and to top it all off, he was also tied to the cot. He had no way of getting out of this one on his own. He let out an exasperated sigh, mentally kicking himself for his carelessness. The men had outsmarted him, taken an advantage he hadn't foreseen, and he should have hidden rather than running. No doubt they would have found him anyway. There was literally nothing he could do but wait for whatever the men had decided to do with him. He squirmed lightly against his restraints, trying to ignore the rope burning into his skin, on his wrists and ankles. He turned his head to take in the room, which also appeared to be a bit dusty. It hadn't been used in a while. What could he do to escape from this? Could he escape? No doubt if he did and the men caught him again, he'd get it. That was the threat one of the guards had told him anyway. The man had never elaborated on what exactly he'd get, but he had a pretty good idea that it wasn't anything good for him. He couldn't just give up, though. So long as he was alive, there was still a chance for freedom. Just needed to be smart about it and think like his captor's problem was. He still knew very little about them. He didn't know what other things the men had up their sleeves to ensure he was stuck here. There was no way to get help. His stomach growled in protest as he looked towards the iron door, which was no doubt locked and barricaded to ensure he couldn't just walk out. Not that he would. He could hear at least 2 guys outside the door. Their muffled voices babbling nonsense, as he could never quite overhear. He wondered how long it had been since he'd been tied here, only freed for short spasms for a meal or to stretch if the men were gracious enough to allow that. Always guarding the door, of course, so he couldn't just run out. There was always someone watching, regardless, if he was tied to the cot or free roaming in his tiny cot, in his tiny cell. There wasn't much he could do about it, but it didn't tell him much about what was going on outside of this place. The men never relayed anything about the current events in front of him. He had no idea if his friends were okay or if anyone was looking for him. He had to assume that they were looking for him. His friends wouldn't give up until they knew he was okay. He just hoped it was soon, before Mr. A finally came to ask for him. Why was this taking so long? What were these men planning for him? His thoughts were interrupted when he heard a commotion of voices by the doorway. He turned his head again, curious as to what was going on. The door clicked as it was unlocked, opening to reveal a soldier in Mr. A's dark uniform stepping inside, while 2 men waited just outside the door. Comfortable? The man grunted with a raised eyebrow. Hardly, the YouTuber admitted. Good. That's what you get for trying to get away from us. One of the men by the doorway sneered. Mind letting us in, or on how you got out? Grian said nothing, and the man as he watched the soldier walk up to him and unbind his arms and legs from the cot, practically yanking the YouTuber to his feet, putting his arms behind him. What are you doing? The YouTuber asked the man. Protocol, the man replied simply. Mr. A is waiting for you. Where? Grian pressed. Stop asking questions. You'll know soon enough. One of the men sneered at him. The YouTuber said nothing, looking down at his feet as he did so. Mr. A has something big in store for your fellow kind, and he felt like he'd make a good test. Test? What am I, a guinea pig? Grian snapped. In a way, yes, the man chuckled. Now come on, we shouldn't delay any more than we have to. Mr. A isn't much of a patient man, you must say. Right. Grian nodded his head, willing himself to walk out of the cell, shakily, while being pushed by the man, not too harshly, but not gently either. He glanced around the lantern-lit hallway, its bright white walls reflecting the dire plainness he felt. Sure, the canvas appeared to be clean and bright, but deep down he knew that this was a mess. All of it was. He wasn't sure how he should feel about it as they approached a dark oak door. Something about it seemed dark, ominous, as he took each step. The door seemed to grow in size until they finally arrived. The man hesitating as he opened the door, which led to a stairway that led to the surface. The man said nothing as he shoved the YouTuber forward. Grian having no choice but to comply as he walked up the stairs, each step feeling harder than the next. He could hear faint chatter from above that only grew louder as he neared the surface. Once he was pushed out of a trapdoor and up to the top, he blinked several times, realizing it had been quite a while since he'd seen the sun. When he'd escaped not too long ago, the sky had been cloudy, with a hint of rain in the air. Now it was bright blue, and with clumps of clouds billowing through the sky, passing over the shining golden sun every once in a while, giving a little bit of shade. What he saw before him was an open field with a portal resting nearby, with a couple of men waiting on this side, chattering amongst themselves. He's waiting on the other side, one of the men announced, the man holding him, as Grian was shoved towards the portal. Where are we going? Grian asked nervously. You'll see, the man said, a cold, gentle tone in his voice, mildly tender, but still just as prickly. Grian gulped as he pushed through the portal, feeling the man grab his arm as he slipped through the bright whiteness. That was bliss. Now he didn't feel as happy or welcoming like before, just warm, near scorching hot, as he stumbled through the other side, being met with a small wooded area that he didn't recognize. Standing not too far away was a tall man with broad shoulders, his dark eyes gazing at the new arrivals. There were 2 or 3 others with him, but they weren't the only living here. Towering over them was a giant machine that he didn't recognize. Seemed to be a robot of some kind, with 3 stubby legs that were larger than his head, a long cylinder body, a large head with a single closed eye, sharp claws on each of its long arms. There also seemed to be some tinted material on the machine's front you couldn't quite see into. Looks like our subject has finally arrived, a man said crimply. I think that's the right word, but as he beckoned for the soldier holding the YouTuber to come closer. The man was wearing a black leather jacket, which was zipped up partway, his ragged pants reaching to his ankles, being met with matching leather boots. The man's pale face seemed to glow bright in the sunlight that sometimes shone through the leaves of the trees. It's good to finally meet you, Grian. How do you know my name? Grian demanded firmly. Well, you've told quite a few people, actually, the man said with a casual shrug. So they just passed it along to me. Well, are you ready for an adventure? Does that result in my impending doom? No, I don't think so. The YouTubers, matter of factly, won't be your end yet. Don't worry, the man mused. I just need your help with this little thing here. I'm not that good at redstone, Grian pointed out. Loud. I don't need help with redstone. I've already got that sorted already. Just need you to help me power it. What do you mean? Grian asked nervously, looking over at the large machine that sat there silently. Here, let me show you, the man offered, as he gestured for them to follow. Grian had no choice but to obey, as the man holding him pushed him forward. This is a masterpiece my brother, RJ, and I have been working on for quite some time. It's programmed to attack anything living that moves, well, necessarily with a certain aura that it can detect, since we only want to target a specific group of people. This is something we call the Eliminator. For instance, if there is a small town or province somewhere with YouTubers, we send it in to eliminate them without hassle. Especially if these YouTubers are potentially very powerful. How do you even detect the aura? Grian asked, confused. Well, everyone excuse me, I need a sip. Well, every YouTuber has what you call an aura around them. A signature that some people can just sense is different about them, that individual. That is their essence, their being. It makes them stand out far more beyond than just a regular person, the man explained. So you and your friends, you have various aspects of auras, some stronger than others. Yours is one of the strongest I've seen in quite some time, actually, according to our little mole. Right, Grian's gritting his teeth, as he tried not to think about the man who had purposely turned him over to Mr. A's men under everyone's radar. So, what do you need me for? It's something powerful for the machine to draw energy from, the man replied. We have tried various types of energies, but the strongest we've used is life force of your kind to power it. Though we haven't properly tested its capabilities. So, you need the aura, or life force, to power the thing that senses the same life force and destroy it. How will you keep it from destroying itself? Grian stated. That's what we're planning to try out today, the man mused, as he opened a small compartment from behind the machine, light pouring in it to reveal a chair surrounded by cords and wires. There were what appeared to be Velcro. I spelled Velcro wrong in this way. Straps on the floor and armrests of the chair. Grian didn't like the sight at all, especially when it faced the window, which now you could see out of. There's a small town not too far ahead with a few scattered YouTubers that have been reported. We want to see how this thing reacts. What if it decides to kill me? Grian asked skeptically. The man shrugged. It's not programmed to destroy its source of power, so you should be fine. Should? Grian repeated bitterly. The man ignored him as he gestured for them to enter the machine. As the man holding him dragged him in and sliced off the rope that binded him, shoving him into the chair as Grian watched helplessly as his legs and arms were bound to the chair, the cold metal burning into his skin. The Velcro was a bit irritating and scratchy, but overall it wasn't as bad. Grian watched as the man connected the wires to the straps, where he saw little holes that hadn't been there. That he hadn't seen before. He didn't like this at all. Why are you even doing this? Grian asked. Why aren't we? It's revolutionary. Mr. A mused. We'll have the upper hand, surprising hundreds, if not thousands of potential victims. No one will see it coming, and the cars won't be able to react fast enough. It's perfect. It's cruel, Grian said sourly. Mr. A chuckled as he walked away from the YouTuber. flipping a button on flipping a lever on his way out as the door slammed behind him and the guard. Not before he heard the man wishing him well, and he'd be seeing him soon. Sounded so cheerful, and not that he was just about to murder hundreds of innocent people. Grian swallowed as he started to feel the machine starting to come to life, vibrating underneath him as he felt a tingly sensation in his wrists and ankles, just before he felt what appeared to be a little needles piercing his skin, draining something slowly out of him as he just gasped in pain, feeling the machine stand to turn its face the direction it had been programmed to go. Grian only able to hopelessly watch as it began making its journey, bouncing and jolting him around. The YouTuber clenched his fist, gritted his teeth, hoping it would be over soon. Grian could still hear the screams of innocent people running for their lives, echoing in his mind as the machine wandered around whatever was left of the ruined town. Nothing was left unturned as it tracked everything. He'd been forced to watch as the machine destroyed homes by smashing its claws, burned down walls with its strong laser, and crushed people under its feet. He'd seen people being crushed to death by the machine, hearing their screams, not even muffled for him, seeing everything. What the people had seen was a killer machine that had devastated everything as he felt lightheaded, drained, and exhausted, both literally and figuratively. The machine had taken out a lot out of him, none of which he had control over. A moment later, the vibrating died down, and he felt the machine fall back to its resting position, knowing full well that someone was around to power it off. Externally, tingling needle sensation was gone as he breathed a sigh of relief, even though he knew very well that it wouldn't be over for him. Far from it. He could hear the metal door open. His footsteps walked inside. He looked up meekly to see Mr. A walking over to him, a stone expression on his face. So how did it go? It was horrifying, Grian whispered quietly, looking down at his feet, hiding the tears in his eyes. So many men, women, and children were gone because of this man. He had a part in it. It was unwilling, sure, but would that mean anything if he ever got out of this? Would his friends think? What would his friends think of him after this? God, would he be worthless to them? Would he be trapped here forever? Because to me it did a little too well, the man frowned. I'm going to have to make a few adjustments and make sure it only talks to one person at a time. Clearly got very confused from what I can see. Can you even tell? Grian asked harshly, looking up quickly at the man, stunned. Had he watched everything? The man showed the YouTuber a small control panel with a little screen showing the room they were in right now. I have cameras set up here and looking outside. That way we can judge what the machine should do and improvise if needed. You are a cold-blooded monster, the YouTuber stated bluntly. The man managed to smile. I think you've done enough for today. I'll have our friend here take you back to your cell. We'll be up for more testing in the coming days. I'll ask the guys to watching you to make sure you're well rested and fed. We certainly don't want you dying on us, don't we? No, of course not. Grian muttered to himself, feeling the Velcro straps being torn off him as he was pulled from the chair and bound once more. The last thing he saw as he was being dragged away was Mr. A giving him a light wave as he glanced back at the control of the machine. Thought of the man watching as innocent people were tortured to death sickened him. What more would this man be willing to do to get what he wanted? When would this all be over? Would they ever be relieved of this awful man? He didn't know. All he knew was that the man still needed him, which still gave him a glimmer of hope that someone might find him and rescue him. And if he wasn't sure what he'd tell them. If he'd admit what he'd seen, what he'd been a part of. He knew it wasn't his fault, but he wasn't sure people would get that. If anyone would get that. For all he knew, he was now on his own. He was helpless to do anything about it. I think I'm going to end that there. You could probably tell by my voice that I probably should end it today, too. Yeah. We're almost there. Almost there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah. This one was a longer chapter. I knew it was a longer chapter, so I just wanted to get through it. Because chapter 17 and 18 are going to be fun. Well, chapter 18... I'm not going to spoil it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, questions, theories, be sure to comment them in the description below. No, comment section below. Why did I say so? And yeah, I guess I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Whenever that might be. Goodbye.